What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Christian Corey. So today, we're talking about the Cubbies. The Cubbies, well, they got some problems. It's no more go Cubs go, it's no Cubs no. The Cubs, they suck. And we're gonna dissect them here today. So, let's get into it. Okay, so the Cubbies, America's team. Everybody loves the Cubs. It's hard to hate them. But the Cubs, they're not doing so good. You know, the Cubs this season, they weren't thought of and expected to do that great. I mean, they did make the playoffs last season in a shortened season with, you know, their first-time manager, David Ross, a guy who was a part of the 2016 World Series championship team in Chicago, the first time in over 100-something years. He's a winner himself, was on the Red Sox teams when they won in 2013. I remember that, the Boston Beards. But anyways, the Cubs, the way they started out was pretty surprising and, you know, made everybody think, well, hey, maybe you don't need to write off the Cubbies here in this new 2021 season that is going to be a full 162 slate. But I've dug deep into the Cubs numbers, and the Chicago Cubs, you know, were last atop of that NL Central Division on June 18th. They were one game up on then the second place Milwaukee Brewers, and they were sitting at 39 wins and 31 losses with a .546 winning percentage, and they were 9 games above 500. So they were doing pretty good. It's a pretty tight division. Brewers weren't doing great in the beginning either. They were starting to heat up. Everybody thought that NL Central was going to be really tight in the beginning, and the beginning of the season, it wasn't like that. The Cubs kind of, in a way, now I wouldn't say ran away with it, but had a comfortable lead. And then once the dog days hit, the Brewers woke up, the Reds were really on fire. So that Central Division, in the dog days, it started to shape up like we all thought. A tight division. So they were atop of the division on June the 18th, a game up on the Brew Crew. And the funny thing is, the Cubs actually lost that day, June the 18th, 10-2 to the Fightin' Fish, the Marlins in Miami. So since that June 13th day, when they were in Miami, they have gone 3-11 over their last 14 games. And as of July the 4th, a couple days ago, at 4:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 4th of July, they are now in third place in that Central Division at 42-42, right at 500. And they're 8.5 games back of the first place Brewers. So the Brewers, they blew past them. So the question is, what do you do with the team? The manager, David Ross, and some guys who are going to be free agents. Baez, Bryant's a big name. But before we go over the Kris Bryant stuff, I want to go into a deep dive of their current manager, David Ross. And the question is David Ross a good manager, and should they keep him beyond this 2021 season? So, some history on David Ross and the Cubs as a manager. The Cubs hired Ross on October 24th, 2019 to a 3-year contract. He replaced longtime manager Joe Maddon, who managed the Chicago Cubs from 2015 through 2019, and is currently the Angel skipper. Through that time of 15 and 19, he's gotten them to a lot of postseason appearances, a lot of NLCSs, a World Series championship. He's a winning manager. Crazy as it sounds, he's the most winningest manager in Cubs history, except for the guy who managed him in 1907 and 1908. I don't even know who that is. But David Ross, yes, he got him to a postseason appearance, but he replaced a man who is undoubtedly the most winningest manager in Chicago Cubs history. Even if Ross's winning percentage was higher than Joe Maddon's, which it's not, but if it was, it wouldn't matter because Joe Maddon won him a World Series. I mean, Joe Maddon could have won them one World Series his first year, hypothetically, and the next 3-4 years could have had him at the bottom of the division and would have been the most winningest manager in Cubs history. That's how bad the Cubs have been. You know that, and I know that. So let's go to Joe Maddon for a second to see how good he actually was as a Cubs skipper. So Joe Maddon went 471 and 339 with the Cubs, which translates into a .581 winning percentage. And again, a World Series champion under his belt. David Ross, on the other hand, so far, you know, basically in 2.5 seasons, I'd say, David Ross has gone 76 and 65 with the Cubbies, which translates into a .539 winning percentage. So again, a shortened season, I get it, his first season, I get that. You know, probably could have won a lot of games in 2020. Maybe could have won 100. You never know. We'll never know. But regardless, Joe Maddon has a higher winning percentage at .581 versus .539 comparison to David Ross. And, you know, again, with Ross, he only won an NL Central title in a shortened season. Again, you know what I mean? So, Joe Maddon is undoubtedly the most winningest manager on the north side of Chicago in their history. David Ross, I'm not saying he's a bad manager. He can't help it that he had a 60-game season, and his winning percentage is skewed and not really what it should be in a regular 162 slate. But, I mean, the winning percentage is over 500. It's over 5.5. You know, it's .539. So, it's not a bad winning percentage. He's at a .540 winning percentage, so that's pretty good. But again, some things you just can't control. The question is, when it comes to the managerial position the Cubs are in, and looking at it in hindsight, because he can't bring Maddon back, I know that. I mean, he's not doing great in Anaheim, which is not really his fault in my opinion. I mean, they have not addressed the pitching in Anaheim, but that's a whole different story. So, if you're the Chicago Cubs, what would you do here in 2021, regardless of how you end up? Whether you're dead last or you're first place. Would you fire David Ross, who has 1.5 seasons under his belt and a winning percentage well over 5.5, had dealt with a lot of stuff when it comes to the pandemic, trying to get that team through that, trying to keep everybody healthy in 2020, and having high expectations along with that? What would I do if I was the Cubs? The problem is that it's easy to say, go fire David Ross because the Cubs suck. Which, I mean, it's easy to put blame on him. It's very easy. We all know that. Every team does that with every manager. I mean, look at the Phillies. They blamed Gabe Kapler for being their Achilles heel and why they have not succeeded. And guess what? They fired him. And guess what? They hired Joe Girardi. And guess what? Guess what Gabe Kapler is? He's a first-place manager in San Francisco. So, it's not always a manager's fault. But it's easy to blame the manager. We know that. So the question is, again, what do you do with David Ross? I wouldn't fire him. I'd give him another chance because, again, let his contract run out and let's see what happens. Again, the team's going to be different. We know that. But you got to give him a chance. You got to give him a shot. I don't think he's had a fair shot. You have to consider the circumstances they were in last season. And I know they won the division. I get that. But it was a very stressful season for everybody last season. So I give him some grace on that part when it comes to David Ross, evaluating his success on the north side. And one more thing on Ross, if you do fire him, who are you going to get? I mean, Aaron Boone? What, after he gets fired from the Yankees, you're going to go hire Aaron Boone? I mean, I guess you could hire Carlos Beltran. I think his suspension's over with, right? I mean, they could hire Beltran if they wanted to. I don't think you want to hire Boone. I'm just saying. I just don't, you know. But, hey, maybe it could be a Gabe Kapler situation where he gets fired by the Phillies and he goes over to San Francisco and wins and becomes a first-place team against a very, very good Dodger team and Padres team that's in that division. You never know. Kooky things have happened. So let's go over to the Kris Bryant scenario now. The question is, it's not, should they trade Kris Bryant? I should have changed the question. The question is not, should they trade Kris Bryant? We know they're going to trade him. They have to trade him. It's imperative that they trade him. The question is, when are they going to trade him? That's the million-dollar question, is when. Because if the Cubs were in first place right now at this very moment, I would not want to trade Kris Bryant. But the Cubs, they're not in first place. They're in third place, and they could be in fourth place, and that's the scenario the Cubs are in. So the question will always be when, regardless of where they're at. But right now, I think the win should be translated to soon. Really, it's how soon are they going to trade him? Tomorrow? Maybe. You never know. Because, you know, do you wait till the All-Star break? I mean, is it worth waiting till the All-Star break? The All-Star break is just over a week away. By the time I upload this tomorrow on Tuesday, it's going to be a week away. So, if you're the Cubs, do you have confidence that your team can rattle off 7 wins or something? Do you really have confidence if you're the management and the general manager in that situation, and David Ross, that your team can rattle off 6 and 7 wins to have a shot at making a wild card or a division title? Do you have the confidence in that ball club to do so? The Cubs are scheduled to face tonight a Philadelphia Phillies team, who, and the Phillies, are in 4th place in the East and have a worse record than the Cubs at 39 and 42. So, do you have confidence you can roll over the Phillies in Chicago? 100% confidence? No. But I tell you, it's a heck of a lot better than facing the Reds or the Brewers right now, I'll tell you that. So that's a good thing for the Cubs. That's the one factor that's in their favor, is that they're facing the Phillies at home. Do you wait until the All-Star break? Or do you say, I don't care what we do, we're trading you right this minute? And the Mets have been in contact with them. You know it. I know it. They've been in contact since opening day. They've been in contact with the Cubs on Kris Bryant. So have some other teams that we don't know of. So I think for the Cubs, the tougher scenario is the managerial situation. I mean, you're going to trade Bryant. I know I keep saying that, but it's just the way it is. I was a Cubs with Bryant. You think you can get more value waiting? Do it. Do it. Just wait. Even if you do well, just wait and then you trade them. But if the fact that you're losing right now is a good excuse and the fans won't be on your case because you're losing and then you trade them, I mean, the Cubs could very well be on some sort of a winning streak going up to the deadline, you know, being 3 games back of the first place spot in that Central, and then trade them, and then Cubs fans and Wrigleyville will want to burn Wrigley Field down. Like, the Cubs could wait for the deadline and trade him then, but again, you run the risk of you going on a hot streak during that time, and people getting pissed off that you traded Bryant. You're weighing two sides if you're the Cubs. It's you trade him now because you suck and there's an excuse to do it, or you wait because you think you get more value at the deadline, but then you run the risk again of possibly getting out of this rut that you're in and being in second place or maybe even first place and trading your most popular player while you're doing well. I think if I was the Cubs, I'd do it right now. I mean, yes, you can get more value probably at the deadline itself, but do it now. I wouldn't even wait for the All-Star break because you're in this rut. Do it tomorrow. Do it today. Do it in 2 seconds. Trade the guy somewhere, the Mets or whoever else. Get the best possible package you can get. I punt the season right now. You know, baseball's a business, and I think that's a good business decision for the Cubs in punting this moment and trading Kris Bryant. When it comes to David Ross, let him play out the season, see what happens, and I wouldn't fire him after the season regardless of where the Cubs end up. Let him, you know, manage out his contract for the 3 years, and you say sayonara. That's what I would do. So, like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on what the Cubs should do. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.